okay again? And what about the government perhaps scrapping their pre-election pledge of the triple lock on pensions and the amount of money that you can get each week on your state pension potentially dropping as well? The Express estimates it could be £1,900 a year to pensioners. Your thoughts welcome. 0800 111 40 41. Dan Woodruff is from Woodruff Financial Planning in Colchester. Has been listening to this conversation. Good morning to you, Dan.
How are you?
Hi, good, Dan. Yeah. I mean, is it possible, Dan, to have planned for something like this?
Yes, if you start early enough and prepare in advance, really. So when we work with people in James' position, we tend to start early, because what we want to do is help you to be ready for that day when it comes, if that makes sense.
And you're obviously dealing with this on a daily basis, trying to sort out people's finances. Is this something that's been cropped up time and time again in recent weeks?
Yeah, it depends on which situation you're in. So if you're in something like James' position, I think what I would say is that don't panic. You've got to think that you're not retiring tomorrow. So I think what I'd say to someone in James' position is think about the different pots of money that you're going to be spending when you come to retire. So he's got his wife's income that he talked about. Potentially that could be guaranteed, that may be carrying on. He'll get the state pension at some point. He will have a guaranteed income coming there, perhaps not 65 when he's planning to retire, perhaps slightly later, maybe 66. And then he's got his money from his business and from his pension. I think in both cases, they are variable sources of income in the future, and he needs to be thinking that maybe the situation now might have resolved somewhat by that stage. So it could have recovered. And I think what I tend to think in case of retirement, you're going to have different sources of income from different pots. And if one has fallen, you can make small adjustments, but it may not be quite as bad as you might have thought to start with. So I think overall you've got to try and think that it's a long-term thing, like your previous caller said. And when you put all that together, you may find that only small adjustments might be needed when something goes wrong, like we have at the moment.
And what are people doing if they can't rely on their pension, Dan? Has you got any advice for anyone in that sort of situation who wants to try and save in these times?
Yeah, I suppose that the biggest impact will be those who are just about to or just have retired, and especially if you've left your money invested and that money's fallen. So I think the stock market has fallen, but it has recovered somewhat. And if you look over longer terms, it will still be showing growth. So I think you have to look at these things as long term, and you have to understand that from time to time, invested money like pensions does fall in value. So the solution to that is to have money put aside in cash, so that you can have a buffer of money that you can dip into when things fall in value. The problem for someone who's about to retire, and especially if you want a guaranteed income from something like a pension, is that if that money's fallen in value, then now might not be the right time to take that income, because it may have drops in value, and you may be locking in the fall in value to your future income as well as a result. So it's not an easy decision, but you don't have to necessarily do it all in one go as well. So I think people tend to think of retirement as a kind of all or nothing thing, and actually I think in my experience most people do this gradually. So you call it James, he's got a business or a couple of businesses, and I reckon he probably would have the ability to wind those businesses down, even if he can't sell them, and that might help to sort of supplement his other income from other sources. So there may be opportunities going forward with the work market. Even if there's unemployment, there may be more part-time employment available. And if you're at that retirement age, you could top up your income from other sources, couldn't you? You just have to sort of hustle a bit, I suppose.
Dan Woodruff, thank you for joining us. Nice to chat to you as always. Plenty of good tips and advice from Dan, and a main advice: don't panic. Markets recover. 0800 111 40 41. Are you changing your plans when it comes to retirement as a result of the coronavirus outbreak? You may have been planning to retire this year or next year, and you might not be able to now. How have things affected you? Let's go to the phones. Text 81333.